Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Monday, May 27th, 2019, 5:19 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. So it's been about 3 weeks since we've taken a look at the Arctic sea ice conditions, so I thought we'd do an update on that and do our earthquake report tonight. So I hope everyone is doing well, and if you're in the United States, having a good Memorial Day holiday, and that your week is going well wherever you are. I know there have been a lot of awful storms across the United States and in different parts of the world. There's been a lot of catastrophe and disaster, but this is part of what's happening with the abrupt climate change and the warming of the weather or the atmosphere. And let me refresh this and make sure I have the latest image from NASA Worldview. So before we actually look at the sea ice itself, I have some, here they are. I've been saving these from Climate Reanalyzer, and this is the sea ice and snow cover picture. Here it is starting from May the 3rd. So we're going to just go through a slideshow since then. I've got them almost for every day. So I've got them, sometimes I forget a day. But as I click through, you're going to be able to see how the sea ice is definitely melting quickly, retreating quickly, and we can see that it's also going into the blue, like here in the Baffin Bay, and so as it gets more into the blue, it's less concentration. So here it is on the 17th, 18th. I'll just slowly click through. Sometimes, you know, when you get a animation, it goes so fast, it's like you can't keep up with it. So this is why I like to just take these snapshots. And so here it is from today, May 27th. Now this is a computer model that's put together according to all the data that they have. So what we see is huge melting around all of Greenland. It's pretty much ice-free on this western side, and on the eastern side it's ice-free and up until about halfway. Also Svalbard, it's melting around Svalbard. This western edge of Novaya Zemlya is totally ice-free, and up here just north of Canada, this is the Beaufort Gyre or Beaufort Sea, and coming across Alaska, that's really opened up in the last 3 weeks. And also here's the Bering Strait, and that's totally ice-free now. And then we can see where it's splotchy, that's where the ice is melting. So there's that. I also have, let's see what I want to show you next. Here's the 2-meter temperature anomaly from today, and we can see that the Arctic is definitely in the brown. Part of Greenland is in the brown, but look at western Canada and Alaska. All of this western Canada and the Yukon Territory is like dark brown, so that's at least 10 degrees warmer than normally. And then look down here in the United States, we've got dark blue, so it's at least 10 degrees cooler than normally. And then the northern United States and southern Canada is in the blue. And then on the east side of the United States, it's in the brown. So it's kind of crazy. So I've been saving these pretty much every day. So we can see that there's been brown up in the Arctic a lot. It moves around, but it should be white up there. Shouldn't be brown. And at one point the North Pole was, I can't remember the temperature, but it was very warm in the last few days. So with that, look at this from May the 6th, where it's actually got a red streak coming across and across Greenland, and that will melt the Greenland ice sheets very quickly. Here it is from May the 5th, where we had a long line of brown and then red right at the North Pole. So I think you get the idea on all of that. And I also have a couple more things created before we actually look at the sea ice. This is from the Navy website for the sea ice thickness for today. And we can see, okay, so the lavender is the thinnest, and this is like white is zero thickness, and then up in the lavender is about 1/2 meter. The dark purple and into the blue is about 1 meter. So like this area here might be about 1 meter. And then when it goes into the dark aqua, it's 1.5 meters. The regular aqua is about 2 meters, and so forth. So most of the sea ice we can see is 1 meter, or about 2. It's under 2, because when we get into this dark aqua, that's like 1.5 meters. So here's this aqua color that's about 2 meters. And then the thickest ice is right down here on the edge of northern Greenland and Canada, right along here. And it's not very thick. Not very thick at all. And the majority of the thick sea ice is gone, and that's what the climate scientists have been reporting on for the last few years. And then we can see how much it's melted all the way around Greenland, all the way up on the west side. The Baffin Bay is retreating quickly. Here's the Hudson Bay that's melting quickly. And then here's the east side of Greenland that's melting quickly. Then, well, you can see all the coastlines are getting clear right up here in Siberia. This is the Kara Sea, and then here's the Laptev Sea. That's melted. And then here's a little bit of ice around the coastline here, and then here it's very thin or melted completely through here. And then over here, this is all the Chukchi Sea. It's very thin. And then here's your Bering Strait that's totally open. And then this area from Alaska over through Canada here is open. So for this time of year, it's shocking to see it like this. And then the thickness is it's really diminishing. And then we have, this is the Navy animated GIF for 30 days. So it goes back for 3 weeks, and then it goes forward for a week. So it goes until June the 3rd, and it started on it looks like, May the 5th or something like that. So there's that. Then I've got another thing for you. I've got to get over here. Oh wait, I wanted to open it. Let me close these out. Oh, there it is. Just had to close all those out so we could, nope, that's not it. Hang on. I'll get it for you. It's this animation. I made this movie today. This is from NASA Worldview, and this is sea ice concentration. And it's from May the 1st through the 25th. And as it's pausing, it goes to the next day. So now it's starting over. Here now it's going through. Here's the date down here at the bottom. And you can see the change on a daily basis with each. It's like a second in between. Look at how it's totally opened up here. And we'd been seeing the difference in the ice up here, how it was like broken apart. So when we get into looking at NASA Worldview, you kind of have an idea of what we're looking at here. And as it goes into the bluer color, that's the showing the less concentration. It's less thick. That's where it ended. Alright, so we'll close that out. And next, I've got this snow and sea ice index up, and here it is for the North Pole for today. Here's the sea ice concentration from yesterday, May the 6th. They're a day late, and here, that's exactly what we saw from NASA Worldview. And then down here is the graph of daily sea ice extent, and here it is for mid-May, and this is the blue line for this year, and we can see it's at the lowest ever. And it's been at the lowest ever since sometime in February. So it's not looking good. So there's that. Now let's dig into looking at this sea ice. So let's start down here at Greenland, and if there are too many clouds, I'll just click back through a couple of days to see if we can get less cloud cover on some of this. But so we can see these are clouds. Now that we've seen all those graphs and things, we know what's ice free. So this is ice free here. It's just hard to get a day when there are no clouds to really see. So you get the idea that where you see like this wispy stuff, that's clouds, and then this is the edge of the sea ice. And you can actually see it pretty good here. And we can see it's already melted all the way up around this left edge or western edge on Greenland. and these little tributaries are melting. And here, now this is shocking to see it melted around the coastline here. I remember last summer, see, I've only been doing this for a year, tracking this stuff. I started tracking sea ice, learning to read it and track it last summer. And I remember when they first started seeing the breakup of the ice up here at northern Greenland. It was later, much later in the summer, and these climate scientists came out and were very upset because this was old sea ice and it's not anymore. And they were saying with the old sea ice going away, and then when it refreezes, it's not very thick and not very good ice, and over the winter it never really made good ice. And so come the next melt season, it's going to melt that much faster, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Look at this. This is shocking. It's very shocking to see this like this today. That is definitely broken up. And that's water, blue water through there, all around that northern coastline. If you want to see what it was like last year, this time, that's what it looked like this time last year. It was starting to break away, but not like this. Now some of that might be cloud cover. That's the thing about going around from year to year. It's hard to get a good... Okay, here's a picture. Here's a good picture. Now here it was breaking away. But, so, but if you look back through the years, it was solid up there. I mean, you can do your own research and look back through the years. So, to see that already melted like that, the blue ocean there popping up, is very shocking. Alright, now we're coming around, and here we can see it's already melted all the way up to the edge of these little islands. And look here. Look here how far up it's already melted. This is, I think this is called Mackenzie Bay or something like that. Amundsen, I can't read that. Every time you go in, it gets small. Amundsen Gulf. Amundsen Gulf. Look at that. So that's ice free. That's unreal. I feel like I'm in a sci-fi movie looking at all of this. So here are the ice chunks. See how it's broken up and they're all spread apart already. This is clouds that we're looking through. These are clouds. We know that this is ice-free at the Bering Strait. Here it is yesterday. We can get a better view of where the edge of the ice is along here. The clouds are not quite so thick. Here's Barrow. That's the most northern part for Alaska. Here's Wainwright is right along here for one of our YouTube viewers, Alfred. He lives up there. Then there's a little bit of ice along here, and then it melts. It's just picking back up. So let's go back to today. And then we'll come around this Chukchi Sea area. And we're looking through a light cloud cover. So this is all open water here. Here it's broken up. Here is where we saw it broken up. You can see the blue water there where there's no clouds. Now these edges do melt pretty quickly. So what we're going to be watching as the summer progresses is how fast it breaks up and starts melting as going in towards the North Pole. And we'll see cracks. We'll start seeing, like, and we can see it right here. There's a big crack. That's water there. And that's well within the 80-degree north latitude. This line is 80 degrees. And we can see the cracks here. So this is unhealthy sea ice, called sick ice. It's doing its best, but just doesn't have much of a chance. Here's the North Pole, and we can see, can't really tell what's going on there. Here's some more cracks coming in. We can see those. Here we can see that's right down to the water there. We can see it's broken up here. This is 80 degrees out here. Follow the 80 degree around. Here is Svalbard, and we can see there's no ice on this bottom part or on this right hand side, and the ice between the two islands is melting quickly, and it's melting on this left side very quickly. And the seed vault is right up here. Longyearbyen is where the seed vault is. So we're actually seeing, this is the coastline. We're actually seeing the ice retreating there. Ice and snow cover. Now let's come on around. Let's take a peek at our favorite island, Novaya Zemlya. It's become famous because we talk about it all the time. It's ice-free on this side. This is the western side. looks southern the way we're looking at it, but from the North Pole it's western. This top end is all melted, and then it's starting to really melt along this east side too. And here's the channel. Here's a channel that's all melted. This is where they've been doing that icebreaker. So that's all melted. We can see there's no ice there, just little chunks here and there. We're looking through clouds right there. Let's see if we can get a cloud-free day. Here's an example. See, so when there are no clouds, this is what that looks like. It's dramatic. And we're seeing on the methane on cams, the methane is continuously releasing here in the Kara Sea. It doesn't stop. It's just continuously releasing. And then this is the Yamal Peninsula, where methane is also releasing. And then over here is here's Norilsk. And we've been seeing the huge sulfur dioxide coming up, and constant methane building and releasing, and in this whole area. And this whole area is part of the Siberian traps that was lava fields from the last extinction. So it's got a lot of methane and carbon and stuff like that. So as it heats up, all that stuff is going to be releasing. In addition to the frozen hydrates, the clathrates is what they're called, and those are stored. The ones that are the most famous clathrates that we're waiting to see what happens with them are stored right under here on this East Siberian ice shelf, right under there. Natalia Shukova, she and her colleagues did the big research. They came out here and drilled for samples and found these methane hydrates down just waiting, and they filmed it bubbling up, methane just bubbling up through the ocean here. So, and this is where the 50 gigaton burst would come from. But there's so much methane, you know, that's just one thing. So here we can see where it's all melted along here. So this ice is quite thin and not well formed at all, so that will be melting quickly now. And especially considering the 2-meter temperature anomaly that we saw with the brown up here being warmer, much warmer than it normally would be, then you're going to have quickly melting sea ice. And we can see it's already broken up over here. Here's your 80-degree line. So there's that. But we're already seeing the effects of the warming of the Arctic. We're already seeing the effects of that with the superstorms that are forming in the atmospheric rivers and things like that. Super destructive storms that are just raging across the country that just won't stop. We're just heading into hurricane season here in the northern hemisphere. So it's going to be a tough summer if we make it through. I don't know. Frankly, I don't know at this point. But we're here and we're doing what we can. And next, I will show the Oroville water level at the lake. The 5 o'clock reading today is at 893.64, so that's still rising. And there are people reporting on this, and I posted some things on my Subscribestar page that are public posts. People who are doing the research and reporting on it better than I could. So I've already done the heavy reporting that I'm going to do on this. I still have a very bad feeling. I've had a bad feeling about it for over a month now. That's why I started in reporting on it and researching. And you know, the spillway, the emergency spillway, tops out at 901 feet. So we'll be at 894 feet soon. So that's 7 feet from the top. And as far as we know, they don't have plans on opening the spillway because they can't. Because there are problems. And if you look at the reports that I put up, you'll understand. And I'm not going to get into all of it. And not going to get into the politics. And it's all politics. It's all politics. And it's been all politics from the very beginning. So, time is short. It's shorter for some people than for others. And I think time is very short for the people at Oroville. So, whoever's going to get out, I advise that, you pack up and leave now, before the rush. Before you get the phone call in the middle of the night saying you've got 15 minutes to get out. But you won't make it. Anyway. Now let's get into earthquakes. I have USGS pulled up here for all magnitudes for the last 24 hours. Oh, hold on, I don't have my tremor map pulled up. I'll be right back. Alright. By the way, we received some kind of interplanetary shock wave that hit the whole planet yesterday, and all the seismographs around the planet went off. There's BP Earthwatch reported on it, Planet X News reported on it, but all the seismographs around the planet in every country went off. And this was not at the same time as this 8.0 earthquake that we saw in Peru yesterday. It was at a different time. It was many hours later. And we're still feeling the effects of this shock wave. So, it's not just Oroville. If people just say, oh, well, look at the Oroville seismograph. All of them went off. So, I just wanted to let you know that, too. Alright, so here we have all magnitudes pulled up for the last 24 hours on USGS. We're seeing 231 earthquakes worldwide of all magnitudes. Of those, 23 are 2.5 magnitude or higher. So let's see what's about to come off the map. Here's a 2.5 at False Pass, Alaska. Here's a... I've got time on that. That's coming off at 6:56. 4.9 near Novaya Island, Fiji. I've got time. I'm going to start down here in South America. We're going to start with this earthquake right here on this southern East Pacific rise. Now this is the Ring of Fire. This whole area is considered the Ring of Fire, and over here too. And that's the most active for the earthquakes. So this 4.5 came in at last night at, what time is that? 9:45 p.m. Pacific time. And all these times I'm going to tell you are Pacific time because that's my time zone. Now that 8.0 that happened yesterday was up here in Peru. So we haven't seen anything else since then. Then down here in South America was a 4.4 near Ovalle, Chile today at 2:56 p.m. and a 4.4 near Valparaiso, Chile at 8:25 this morning. Then down here in the South Atlantic was a 5.8 near Visokoi Island, South Georgia, and the South Sandwich Islands. This came in at 4:29 this afternoon, 120 kilometers deep. Next we have one south of New Zealand on this red line, 4.5 near Riverton, New Zealand. This came in at 7:21 this morning. 20 kilometers deep. Here's that one near Novaya Island, Fiji, of 4.9 at 6:56 last night. Very deep, 586 kilometers deep. And these deep ones will cause movement around the planet with the tectonic plates. Next is a 5.5 near Dedali, Solomon Islands at 2:25 this morning, 116 kilometers deep. Then a 5.3 near Tauranga, Papua New Guinea at 3:14 this morning. 4.7 near Lae, Papua New Guinea at 4:46 this afternoon. This one is new. It's a 4.5 near Samlaki, Indonesia at 5:28 this afternoon, 141 kilometers deep. Then a 4.7 near Tilamuta, Indonesia at 6:33 this morning, 190 kilometers deep. Then up here on land is a 4.3 near Oshkosham, Afghanistan at 7:23 this morning, 216 kilometers deep. So those are all of the international earthquakes. Now we'll go to all magnitudes and take a peek at Hawaii. We're seeing 3 here today, 1.8, 1.7, and 2.2. So that's, probably That 8.0 relieved a lot of pressure that had built up. Here in the Caribbean, we're seeing 12 today. This 3.3 looks like it's the largest near Boca de Yuma, Dominican Republic. The rest are 2s and 1s. So not enough to really do damage, but enough to show movement for sure. Now looking at Alaska, we've got 61 here today. We've had some larger ones up here today. We're going to start with this 5.8 that came in near Homer, Alaska. Now that's a big one. That could have been a 6. That's getting on up there. This came in at 2:52 this morning, 65 kilometers deep, and it was in the ocean, so it probably didn't do any damage. I checked on the little tsunami wave, and there was no tsunami threat from this. So there's that one. Here's a 2.5 false pass. Here's a 4.0 Redoubt volcano. This one came in this afternoon at 4:44. Now this is not comforting to see a 4.0 earthquake on a volcano. Seriously. It's just not very comforting. Now if you want to see where that is, we can go on Google Earth and we can take a peek and just look at this volcano. So that's where the earthquake happened. Now Redoubt, I think it's right up here. Yep, Mount Redoubt. Look at that crater. That is a humongous crater. So to have a 4.0 on the flanks of a volcano is just not comforting at all. Right down here. There you go. And this is Volcano Alley. Seriously, there's Mount Iliamna that's a volcano, and there's a whole bunch of them along here. In fact, the Aleutian Islands, it's all a volcanic chain. All of these are old volcanoes. All the way down here. So, and here is this 5.8. So, anyway, here's a 2.7 Whittier, 3.3 Sutton Alpine, and a 2.9 Koktovic. So now let's go to all magnitudes and see what's going on. First of all, we can see movement further out to the west on Alaska here. So here's a little one. This is at Tanaga Volcano. Remember we had the 6 point something here a few days ago. So this is still moving. This was a 1.8. So right up here where this 5.8 went off, we also had a 2.1 and a 2.2. All within a short time period. The 5.8 was at 2:52 this morning. Then a 2.1 was at 3:34, and the 2.2 was at 3:50 this morning. So those were aftershocks. Then here's that 4.0. Here's Mount Redoubt. And then here's some more in this Cook Inlet, although there's not very many today compared to some days we've seen them. Here's Anchorage. Not seeing very many up here at Anchorage. Seeing a few. Here's that 3.3. But we can see them peppered around. Kobuk has 13 here today. Here was this one over on the west side at 2.2 near Shishmaref. Then we've got a couple over here. What are these? 2.0 no attack, and a 1.7 no attack. Then up here at Koktovik, we've got 3, an Arctic village. Here's a 2.9, 1.5, and a 1.9. So I'm seeing the size of the earthquakes getting bigger up here. Definitely. 1.3 Haynes Junction. Now let's move on down into the lower 48. We're going to start down here in South Carolina, right on the border between Georgia and South Carolina. A 2.0 near McCormick, South Carolina. This came in at 6:17 last night. We don't normally see them there. Next, we've got a couple in the New Madrid hazard zone. We've got this 1.3 that came in at 1:58 this morning, and a 2.9 at 5:38 this afternoon. These are both both near Ridgely, Tennessee. Excuse me. So the 2.9 is a higher one than we normally see there. Then in Utah, we've got a 2.3 near Enterprise. Yellowstone is eerily quiet. Nothing at Yellowstone. That's too quiet. That is kind of disturbing to see. And nothing up here in Washington, nothing in Oregon. Well, let's look at the real-time tremor map. If you think nothing's going on, check this out. Let's refresh so we can get the latest data. 344 epicenters for May 26th. Look at that. That's like twice from what we saw yesterday. Now the tremors are what happened before the earthquakes. And they're mainly up here in the Seattle area, Seattle, Washington, and then here in Oregon forget what oh yeah, just to the west of Salem. And then a few down here to the southwest of Eugene. But the majority are right up here. So, you think nothing's happening? No. I think something's building, frankly. Or something's not being reported. Okay, now coming on down into Northern California. Now this is Lake Almanor. We've been talking about Lake Almanor. Here's Oroville. Here's Oroville. This is Lake Oroville. The dam is down here. This is the one that's filling up that everyone is so concerned about. The dam, is it going to hold or not? There are speculations. There are reports, very bad reports that are coming out now from the people saying that the dam is not in good shape. And but the authorities are keeping quiet. They're not telling people to evacuate, but I think it's irresponsible for them to not go ahead and warn people. So here's Lake Almanor that feeds down into the Feather River that feeds into Lake Oroville. And we've had earthquakes up here. We've been having earthquakes in this area. And this has a dam. Canyon Dam is right down here in the southern tip of Lake Almanor. And we had a 1.5 earthquake to the north of Lake Almanor today at 3:36 this morning. They're calling it near Westwood, California. And then to the southeast, and that's not very far, that's only about 11 or 12 miles away. Then to the southeast, we've had two. We've had a 1.6 near Quincy, well, East Quincy, at 12:30 this afternoon. And then a 1.4, same place near East Quincy at 3:45 this afternoon. So that's not very far. And then, in addition to that, we've had down here near Truckee, we've had 3. There was a minus 0.1, 1.9, and a 0.6 near Truckee, California, up in the mountains there. So this is all showing movement. Then here's one up north of Pyramid Lake in Smoke Creek Desert, a 1.4 that came in at 1:29 this morning. Now, and there was another one down here just to the south of Pyramid Lake. It got in between me reporting, but so on the map here we can see these, it's almost a straight line coming down from this one to these two to these at Truckee. This one at Westwood, then these at East Quincy, and then these at Truckee. It's almost a straight line coming down. And also, this is the Juan de Fuca plate, and this is where it connects with the San Andreas fault line. And if you go straight across here, it goes right through this one, north of Lake Almanor, and almost straight across to this one north of Pyramid Lake. So I think this is all connected somehow. So we're going to be watching all of this. Alright, so down in Nevada, we've got a few small ones coming in. Here's a 1.1 at Hawthorne, and so on. These are just small ones. I'm not going to do a lot of reporting on those. But we've got them peppered around. And then here at Alamo, they've got 9 here today. Alamo and Beatty in Warm Springs. Let's see if any of those are above 2.5 magnitude. Nope, they're small. So it's still showing movement here. The largest is this 2.2. Now let's come down this east side of California. We've got 8 here today at Mammoth Lakes. 2.7 is the largest one, so that's a higher magnitude than we've seen in a while. And then the rest are in the 1s and under range. Then coming on down, Coso Junction has 5 here today, so that's gone way down. Little Lake, 0.5 at Little Lake, and then a 2.4, 1.7, 1.4, and 1.2, all at Coso Junction. Oops. Then coming on down into Southern California, we've got 37 on the map here today. Oh, by the way, for people who want to know about Prado Dam, there are no recent reports on that as to what's going on, but I did find it. I did find its location, and I'll show you. Let's go to Google Earth. Reservoir. It's right down here. The dam is right down here. It's right in the middle of Los Angeles, basically. And I read about it, and most of the year it's pretty dry, but then when it rains, this kind of gathers the water. The Santa Ana River runs through here. This is the Santa Ana River that comes through. And then here's the dam at this end here, or here's the dam, and here's the spillway, one of them, and here's another. It looks like this is another runoff area. It looks like, I don't know, I haven't done a lot of research on this. This looks like a gate here. So so this feeds into the Santa Ana River. But look at this. Here's a highway that goes right across that, Highway 71. And then that intersects with Highway 91 down here. So if this flooded, look at all of this area that would be affected. And it's an old dam, and the Army Corps of Engineers have reported that they're worried about flooding with this. So it would affect a huge number of people. Huge. Here's Chino Hills State Park. So it's next to that. Prado Regional Park. Here's Corona down here. So that's kind of the area. So it's not in the middle of Los Angeles, but it's in the Los Angeles area. Here's Anaheim over here, Yorba Linda, Jurupa Valley, Fontana, and so on and so forth. So that's where Prado Dam is. I didn't know where it was, and I was looking it up today. And then on the earthquake map, I found it. It's right here. Right in here. So our landmark is Corona, and it's right here. It's right next to the Corona airport. So there you go. There's the airport, and here's the dam right down here. Kind of blows my mind. Anyway, what can I say? And then the Kauai. Is this the Kauai? No, that's not the Kauai. But look at all the earthquakes around. I mean, this area, they have earthquakes all the time. It's insane. Here's a 2.8 near Ocotillo. Ocotillo, yes. So we've got 37 here today. It doesn't look like 37, so that means there must be some clusters. Here's 3 there. Here's clustering here. This is Kauai. Got 12 here, and so on. Got a cluster right here. We've got 10 right here at Glen Avon. Anyway, the dams are a problem. Here's a 1.2 Los Alamos. Now coming up the San Andreas fault line, we've got a busy day here. I'll just call them off over here. 2.2, 1.6, 1.4, 1.6, 1.9, and 2.2. These are all pinnacles or tres pinos. Here's a 1.8 Milpitas. 1.3 Alamo. Here's the geysers. 54. They win the prize today. We got 54 at the geysers. They're all under 2.5 magnitude. It's still not comforting to see that many on a holiday when the earthquake makers are not even out. They're off work. So most of these are under 1. 1's and under. Here's a 2.3. That's the biggest one. Uh-oh. What have we got down here? Okay, I reported on that one at Samlaka. We got a new one over here. Off the coast of Sumatra was a 4.7 near Bengkulu, Indonesia at 5:56 this afternoon. You know, whoever thought it was a good idea to start making all those dams You know, I just don't think it's good. You know, I think the water needs to flow where it's gonna flow. I think Mother Nature needs to just, you know, otherwise the energy just gets all messed up. Okay, we just got this one in. Here's an Arctic earthquake. This is near Jan Mayen. That's a little island right up here. This is Iceland, and it's right on the red line. It's a 4.4 at 5:34 this afternoon. They're calling it near Olonkinbian, Svalbard, and Jan Mayen. But Jan Mayen is over here, and Svalbard is up here. So it's right down here on this red line. 4.4. That's getting up there. We saw this one, 2.9 Ridgely. Yeah, we saw that. So I think that's a wrap for today. So as we head further into these end times, I recommend everyone get your spiritual house in order. Get right with God and Jesus while you still have a chance. So until next time, God bless, go in peace, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night.